Welcome to today's podcast, the Wise Are Legal Leaders podcast. And today, my very special guest is Yule Guttenbeil. Yule has a wealth of knowledge in the legal field and technology, and also has some creative traits. So I am quite fascinated as to what we're going to unpack today because, Yule doesn't form your stock standard boring everyday lawyer. And so I'd like to welcome you onto our show. Thank you, Yule.
Thanks for having me, Karen.
So tell me about your most exciting recent adventure.
So my most recent adventure was to Auckland, where I gave a workshop to some New Zealand lawyers at the New Zealand Law Association. And I had a full room of Auckland-based lawyers who
Mm-hmm.
I gave a rundown on the kinds of tools that I use in practice and the kinds of techniques I use for working with those tools, how to manage client confidentiality, and how to get good results out of any of the tools that I use, whether that be for drafting or research. So, yeah, I spend a lot of my time talking to lawyers about how to manage the risks and rewards of using the latest tools that are out there and picking ones that are right for them. I know a lot of lawyers aren't using anything yet, though they are definitely considering it. Some firms have adopted Copilot by Microsoft, which is
Mm-hmm.
a start. But I think that some of the criteria that legal practices are using to select the tools they use are probably overly restrictive. There is no such thing as perfect security. Unfortunately, risk is always a calculation. And I think that you need to take a risk reward based approach to anything online. I mean, we would in the past we would have thought that giving our details to Optus or Medibank was safe as houses, but there's no
Mm-hmm.
there's no perfection in online security, unfortunately, and you just need to make decisions based on reputation and a few other markers that can be investigated as to whether a software vendor is up to scratch or not.
Mm-hmm. Which, yeah, it's really is buyer beware, isn't it?
It is buyer beware, unfortunately, and also it is the Wild West out there right now, because basically what a lot of software developers are doing is just slapping a skin on effectively ChatGPT, putting a few custom prompts in the back end and saying, "Bob's your uncle. There's a specialist legal AI for you." That's a bit cynical, but at the same time, it's often what has been happening. And I tend to prefer companies that have been around a bit longer in the space. So I use Spellbook is the one I use the most. I'm a commercial lawyer primarily, and Spellbook is a plugin for Microsoft Word. That's where I write my contracts, and so it's helpful to have an AI assistant at the side of my document window, helping me review and refine the documents that I work on. I also use one called I use Perplexity, which is my go-to for research. The good thing about research is that you don't really need to put your client's name or any confidential information in when you're looking for, I don't know, legal precedent or just legislation and that kind of thing. You know that you can describe the problem that you're looking to solve,
So,
and then you can get the sources based on that. So yeah, the tools that are out there at the moment are getting pretty good on that front. Perplexity is not as good by a long shot as some of the more specific legal softwares, like it doesn't have access to closed databases like LexisNexis or something like that,
mhm.
because it only has access to what's on the internet. So it's a combination of a search like what Google has traditionally been used as, with the overlay of providing specific answers to your questions. The benefit of Perplexity over other similar tools like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini by Google is that it provides inline references for you to click through. So where it's discussing some information, it will, in a sentence, at the end of the sentence, it'll have like a number, which is the number of that reference at the bottom of the page. But also, if you click on it, it will take you to the exact page on the internet where it got that information. So if it's wrong, you can check that for yourself, because it's always about verification. And I think the biggest thing that a lot of, not just lawyers, but people in general, when they're working with AI tools, overlook is that they think that it's going to do their job for them, but it is not going to do their job for them. It's an assistant at best, and it is not an expert. So it may sound like an expert, and it may source information that you're unaware of, which gives it, the patina of expertise, but it doesn't actually know more than the information it's giving you. It's just a word calculator. So as experts, we are the experts. Lawyers are the experts in law. We have to take the information it gives us with a grain of salt and apply our years of knowledge and experience to that information to know whether it's any good or not, and discount it if it isn't. But we can't accept it as fit for purpose out of the box. We can't just ask it to say, write me a letter with citations on this topic, disputing such and such a situation, then print that out and think your job is done. Because that's what's happened, and the hallucination problem is real, and it's acute in the legal space, because lawyers are often looking for edge cases. The reason we're looking into the legal precedent is because we might have a novel situation on our hands. It's not clear what happens in this particular situation. Therefore, we look for a case that may have covered that. If that case doesn't exist, the AI is going to make it up, and it will give you something that looks like a legitimate case. But when you go to find that case, it probably won't exist. You may find a case with the same name. You might find a case with the same reference and citation, but you won't find a case that is actually on the same topic. It probably won't even have the same subject matter when you click through on it to verify it. But that's why verification is critical, and I have little sympathy for anyone, but in particular lawyers who don't go through the verification process of
checking the facts.
Yeah, checking the facts, checking that the information is accurate.
Wow, thank you, Yule. Now, you were telling me that you've set up a collaborative arrangement for lawyers to join with you. Can you tell me what you're doing with that?
So I am in the process of launching the Lex Nova Guild, which is a combination of software and an association for lawyers. So the idea is basically that the Lex Nova Guild is a member-governed industry body for independent Australasian law practices designed to solve the feast or famine cycle, often experienced by small firms. The Guild sets rigorous professional standards and vets members to ensure quality, trust, and client-centered service. And through a custom-built private B2B collaboration platform, which I'm building myself, it's software, member practices can safely share overflow capacity, white label support to each other, and automate interfirm payments and manage their compliance, all while preserving the client relationships. So basically what that means is you will have one lawyer who has the client. They've got a job that's too big for them, or they just need an extra set of hands for whatever reason. It's a resourcing issue. They can come to the Guild platform and find another lawyer with expertise that can help in the area, quickly negotiate engagement terms between them, and then have that lawyer work as effectively a consultant through their own firm. The client still only gets the one invoice, and the supporting lawyer gets paid on the terms that were agreed at the start of the job. So this helps smooth workloads and cash flow, and enables practices to maintain balance and deliver consistent, high quality outcomes. But it is not an open marketplace for legal services. That often when I explain what it is, people think, oh, is it like a Rightful, or is it like LawPath, or there's plenty of them that have popped up over the years, and no, it's not. It's not. You can't go onto the website and see the lawyers on there and what their hourly rates are. You have to become a member first to be given access to the platform, and then only the members of the guild can see each other's profiles, message each other, and engage each other through the software. So really, the concept is rooted in the collegiality that already exists in the legal profession. And it's focused on well-being and a co-opetition model. So what co-opetition means is we compete in the market in the way we normally would, but when it's beneficial for us to collaborate with another firm, it's a win-win situation, in other words, then we engage each other and work on a matter together. It can be ad hoc. Ideally, we'd like lasting arrangements to eventually form, but it's built around the idea that these will be ad hoc virtual firms, is one way of putting it. And the guild empowers small and mid-sized firms to collaborate at scale without losing independence, and to compete for larger, more complex matters. So the idea is also that if smaller firms can strap their boats together, so the idea is that smaller legal practices can team up and may be able to actually compete with big law from time to time, depending on the matter.
That sounds exciting, particularly for someone who wants to do something a bit more substantial, but still stay as a small law firm.
Yes, I mean, there's a number of reasons why most lawyers work for themselves or work in very small practices, because managing the relationships between lawyers and the different motivations are difficult to align with your own personal goals, right? So we don't go into business just to make money. It needs to serve our larger goals in life. There's flexibility that comes with it. I've got 2 young children, so I don't have any interest in going and working at a big firm. I value my flexibility to be able to just drop what I'm doing and go pick the kids up if something goes wrong. And I get to choose where I put the priorities in my business that match my own internal kind of drives. So with regard to the guild, it's kind of baked in that we respect that in all the other members in the guild. It's like, no, you maintain all of your autonomy, and when you want to engage with someone else, we're here for you. You do it on the terms that you agree, and then everybody goes in their own directions at the end of it.
Sounds very, very exciting.
Yeah. So we will be traveling up to Queensland next week for the Happy Lawyer, Happy Life retreat, which I understand you will also be at.
Mm-hmm.
And we are a sponsor of the event. So there's going to be bits of merch and stuff which are very nice, because my wife is very good at arranging those kinds of things. So I think we've got some caps if you're very lucky, and some air fresheners for your car, and I chose the scent, so hopefully it's good. But yeah, we're in the process of opening up our first intake. So the idea is we will have 2 intakes a year. There's a bit of work involved in the intake, because we need to vet all the members to make sure that they're quality. And And at the moment, I'm also just finishing the software. So I've been building that myself and building some features that I've never seen in any software before, but I guess they kind of haven't been needed, like a capacity tracking feature. So what that means is that once a week, members will get a text message from the guild saying, "What's your capacity in 1 to 5?" 1 being, I haven't got enough work and I'm open to taking on more work. 5 being, I'm maxed out and maybe I could need a hand. And then all you need to do is text back a single digit, and it updates our system so that all the other members can see the capacity of the other lawyers, so they know who to bother and who not to bother, and or just generally know where each other are at. And it's I think that's kind of a nice feature personally. I always we used to have team meetings when I was working in-house at Toyota, where we would sit down once a week and we'd all rattle off with our capacity in the, red, amber, or green, red, amber, or green sort of way. And we've kind of just built that in.
Awesome. Tell me, Yule, what would be your highlight of your legal career?
Highlight of my legal career has basically been just the last 2 years of it. The last 2
Mm-hmm.
years have been very enjoyable. So, for a number of reasons. So, first off, I was nominated. I was a finalist in utilities lawyer in the utilities and energy lawyer of the year at the Corporate Council Awards in 2023, and that was the first time I've ever been up for an award at all. I didn't win it, but I was just happy to be there, and that was like, it just felt like from that moment I'd started experiencing a bit of an upswing in my trajectory. And around about the same time, I was when I started experimenting with the AI tools in my legal practice and finding the efficiency and quality improve through that process. So that meant that a lot of the work that I wasn't enjoying was taken care of in a way where I could get through it faster, rather. So I could get through the boring parts of the work, so that I can focus on the high value stuff, which both I value higher and the clients value higher. Than that, they don't want you copying and pasting; they want you using your brain. And so a lot of what I have been doing with my use of the AI tools is organizing information in a way that gets to the crux, gets to the point, and allows me to start making, assessments and decisions, and figuring out the strategy for the client. And I don't think we really appreciate how much work is involved in just getting to the point when you're a lawyer. We get given really long documents, and we have to read through the whole thing and not all of it is relevant. And so we do get good at filtering for the irrelevant. It's still scroll time, and you're still looking through that document. Whereas I can, with some of these tools, I can ask specific questions and be directed to the exact part of the document to help me start making start addressing the actual issue that the clients come to me for. So yeah, that became quite that's where I started to really feel enjoyment in the work. Also, novelty is a good driver for interest in what you're doing. So the novelty of working with the new tools and getting these results was kind of exciting. And following that, I started writing a few pieces for Lawyers Weekly and stuff, just sharing my experiences on what I was, sharing my experiences of using the AI tools, because I knew that I was an early adopter, and it was actually through frustration that I started communicating those ideas, because when ChatGPT came out and the news just blew up, AI is coming for everyone's jobs. It's the AI apocalypse is on the is finally come upon the legal profession. And I was like, okay, great. How? Like, which tools are going to do this? What's the software called that's going to take my job? And there were no articles on that topic at the time, so I started diving into the tools myself. And the important thing for me is actually sharing that knowledge with other lawyers, because I think it's actually a competency issue now. You'll be getting clients coming to you all the time with issues related to AI, you will almost certainly already have had a client come to you with a document that they've generated using ChatGPT. And it's usually not fit for purpose. And so
I
you need
had
to,
one of those 2 days ago.
I'm sure you did, but this is now the way we work. I've also noticed, just an aside, that the emails I'm getting from clients are much better than they used to be. So, and I have no problem with that. I prefer a well-written email over a poorly written one any day. And it's, it makes things a bit more actionable. But yeah, I feel that lawyers need to understand the tools, whether they use them or not. And the only way you're going to understand them is through using them. So the decision not to use AI still needs to be an informed decision. You can't make the decision not to use it because you don't understand it, because that means you're lacking the competence in the area. You need to try the tools and look for the ways that they might operate in practice, and so that you can discount it and say, okay, I actually don't want to use them because I've had these issues with it and I think that they're insurmountable and they represent too big a risk to the firm, that kind of thing. That's a valid reason to not use them in your practice. But if it's simply out of fear or not wanting to put the effort into learning them, which is also understandable, you're going to be missing out on the competency piece when it comes to actually providing legal advice and legal services to your clients.
That's a lot to think about there, Yule.
Yeah. Yes, there is, and it keeps me busy. So, and I just want lawyers to really try and educate themselves on this and think about how it's going to affect their practice long term. That's all. I just this is part of my collegiality and knowledge sharing. I don't really ask for anything in return. I just think it's critical to our profession that everybody is up to play as fast as possible, because it's fast shifting sand under our feet.
So just to wrap up, what advice would you give to somebody looking to start up their own law firm?
That's a very good question. I would say stay in touch with your colleagues. So even if you're looking to start to go into sole practice and you're starting small, stay in touch with the other people that you've worked with in the past, and create a network of other lawyers that you like and trust that may be in sole practice. And just call them up from time to time just for a chat, because it can be quite isolating in small practices, and you can be fooled into thinking that, like, the issues you are facing are unique to you and they feel like insurmountable, and you can feel a little bit lost from time to time. But I can tell you, after having done this for 11 years since I started my first practice, the issues that you're facing are not unique to you, and they're persistent in pretty much all legal practices. But it does help to talk with friends and colleagues about them, and also it keeps you sharp about like what else is going on in other areas of the law. I think steel sharpens steel.
It does. It does. Agreed. And I must compliment you. I love your tuning fork logo.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm a musician as well as a lawyer, so I figured, how do I bring these together? And I'd like the idea of tuning up my clients' businesses and get that right note. And you've done a good job. So it was combining my passion with my profession.
Well done, you.
Thank you, Karen.
So anything else you'd like to leave with our listeners before we wrap up today?
The only thing I would suggest is, please, if you are interested in checking out the Lex Nova Guild as a concept, go to our website. We have we're adding content to it quite a lot at the moment, and there is also some. We'll be putting out some profiles on the initial board members of the guild, so that people understand who we are, what our backgrounds are, and what we're trying to achieve.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.